Only the Board B Equality mark ensures you know where your food comes from, because it's independently checked at every stage.
One of the things that I really enjoy about making Home Chef is I get to go behind the scenes and visit some really interesting places. Dubai was originally a small fishing village. Now it's a modern metropolis and an economic powerhouse, a trading hub where east meets west. This is the Dubai Creek, which divides the centre of the city in two. Seaplanes used to land here on their way to Australia from Europe. Now it's full of water taxis and large wooden cargo ships. I've come to see Gillian O'Neill, an Irish woman who lives in the city and who imports Irish food.
I've been doing business in Dubai for almost 3 years, but we're in Dubai just coming up on 9 years now. We moved over here for my husband's job.
And what do you import?
We import Johnstone beef and lamb. We do a range of matured Collini cheeses. We do Kelly oysters from Galway Bay seafood, salmon. We do some Ted Brown crab, and we do Mullaghmore lobster, which you will be familiar with.
Yes, up the road for me. Yeah. What is the challenge for you with a chef to convince them to buy Irish, to use Irish?
I think the bigger challenge is probably more for my distributor here, who are Classic Fine Foods.
Yes.
They are taking in a range of produce from around the world, so they need to convince chefs that what we're taking out of Ireland is equally as good or better. I do give them a lot of support here on the ground. I like to go and meet chefs. I like to talk about the producers. I like to take producers over to meet the chefs on occasion. And then Classic Fine Foods will regularly run events and host dinners, host producers coming in and take chefs in to sample the produce.
I think that's what I love about what you do. You bring chefs over to Ireland, you're getting them to meet the producers, you make a connection and they can tell their customer where the food's coming from.
Yeah, we do, and we feel that for more and more chefs now, they like to go direct to the source. They like to see where the produce is coming from. Yeah. And most of the chefs in Dubai will actually understand good produce.
Gillian, it's lovely to meet you here in Dubai, your home. Thank you very much, and I wish you continued success, and thank you for being a Home Chef.
Thank you very much for coming down.
One of the many restaurants which serve Irish beef in Dubai is West 14th, an American steakhouse where Marco de Wildt is the executive chef. Marco, you've got a very interesting menu. I see you have beef from Australia, from the US, and also Irish beef. Yeah. Does it matter to your customers where the beef actually comes from?
Actually, yes, because we're an American steakhouse, but Dubai, people all over the world, they want like Irish, Australian. The US is most of the time grain-fed, and Irish for the grass-fed beef.
What dish are you going to cook for me today?
I'm going to do the sirloin bone-in, the jackstone, 21 days dry-aged, so this is going to grill for you.
And it's interesting on the bone. And is that popular now with your customers when they get that?
They have to get used to it, actually.
Yes.
This country, they're not used to have meat on the bone. With the fat on, it's quite, you have to teach them, actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the flavour is, isn't it? So what's your secret to cooking the perfect steak?
Secret is, season it. Just plain, actually, salt, pepper, of course, ground pepper. Yes. Grill it on high temperature, and then an oven not too high.
Keep it moist.
Yeah, keep it moist. So, first of all, I'm gonna put a little bit of oil.
Yeah.
What we do?
You rub it all over. What oil is that?
Sorry again?
What oil is that?
Just normal plain
oil. Okay.
Yeah. Salt. Later on, we're gonna season it more, like coarse salt, pepper. Rub it in.
Lovely. So well seasoned.
Yeah, well seasoned.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of meat. So
yeah, it is. Would that be 1 or 2 portions here?
This is 1 portion. Yeah.
So you're getting well fed here in Dubai. Okay, so.
Yeah. So high temperature grill, and we get the nice marks on the meat.
So Marco, how many covers would you be doing most nights in the restaurant?
Inside we do around 120 covers, and then outside,
yes,
it's around 280
outside?
for dinner. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So especially with the weather,
Yeah.
what is now in Dubai, everyone wants to go outside.
That looks and smells great.
So this,
Wow.
yeah, perfect now.
In the oven then?
Yeah, I put this in the oven. Will be around, for this piece, I think around 15 minutes. In this time, I will show you this fish.
Lovely. This is quite an interesting because I've seen it with scallops and I've seen it with prawns,
Yeah.
but you're doing it with beef, which is
We're a
very
steakhouse.
interesting. Yeah, very interesting. What cut are you using for this one?
Tenderloin. Dubai loves tenderloin. Again, John Stone, 21 days dry aged.
Yes.
So the base, the tenderloin,
So tender, isn't it?
really tender.
Great cut.
So not to slice it too small or chop it up like a
Yes.
tartare. We need some bite in it.
Would this be a very popular starter on the menu?
It is actually.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we mix it all up. We made a dressing. Of course, lime. Ceviche is lime. Ceviche is always like coriander.
Yeah.
A little bit of mustard as well. Orange, coconut. That's actually the base of the marination.
Okay.
And we touch it up with a little bit of plain coconut milk. Some lemon juice, so lime in the dressing.
Yeah.
Lemon
to serve.
Mix it all up.
So on a busy night, Marco, would you do this to order or would you have the meat diced and then just
No,
marinate?
aluminum. Yeah, we do this aluminum.
Add a minute.
Plating it.
So in the centre of the plate, lovely.
Yeah. And then dress it up with these onions.
Yeah, what's in there?
It's like normal onions, the normal white onions.
Yeah, yeah.
And we marinate it in vinegar, sugar, cinnamon, orange juice again, coconut milk.
So it's kind of pickled.
Yeah. Then the jalapeno,
Yes.
whatever you call it. You put some slices on top.
Are they hot now?
This is quite sweet actually.
Yeah,
It's not,
okay.
not like the Thai chilies,
Yeah.
but the small ones. This you can eat like,
They're fine.
and some coriander, and then some extra dressing.
Yeah.
Okay, finish up with some Melba toast actually. Very
Beautiful.
simple.
Lovely. My favourite
Tastes
job
delicious.
is tasting. And the quality of the beef is very important for you.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I want a little bit of the onion too. Yum. Delicious.
We're gonna have a look on the beef.
Wow.
Okay.
That looks amazing.
Strip loin. So with this, we do a Zinfandel glaze with bone marrow.
That's interesting. How do you make this?
This bone marrow, it's actually blend with black pepper. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Okay.
Yeah. Just heating up the sauce.
Yeah.
I reduce some red wine, the
Yeah.
Zinfandel, boil it up. So now we're gonna monte the bone marrow into it. Some pieces of the bone marrow.
And then just stir that through.
Yeah.
Just then it tastes the sauce on its own. Wow. It's really rich.
Yeah.
Really good. I think it just melts into it. Gives a
Yeah.
lovely shine, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yum. It's so nice.
Yeah. Okay, steak
How nice is that? The flavour's all there, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the bone.
Actually, it's much nicer than
Yeah.
without.
So Marco, in the restaurant, what accompaniments do you serve with the steak?
There's a whole range: asparagus, romanesco, truffle potatoes, you name it. City fries. So before we finish it, can you pass me the
Here.
piquillo pepper? The
This
the
here?
red one? Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. And
What?
the popcorn.
And this here. Oh, this
No,
here.
yeah, that one.
Wow, popcorn.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's American, huh?
I love it. It's just popcorn, that's all.
Popcorn and then blend.
Nice. Looks really
So-
nice. So ready for tasting?
Ready for tasting?
Yum. Looks fab.
Shall I give you this knife?
Look at it. I thought that was a box of cigars. Look at this. That's some presentation. And of course, the butterfly.
Yeah.
That's the
nice
key.
one.
Okay, I'm going to go right in. Do you want to get one yourself?
No, it's all yours.
Beautifully cooked, Marco, I have to say. Lovely and succulent. Nice and pink the way I like it. Oh, flavour is fantastic. Absolutely delicious.
Good.
Fantastic. I feel like I'm back in Ireland. Do you know that? It's amazing to think that this has travelled nearly 7,500 kilometres from the green fields of Ireland to sunny Dubai. It's a great success.
Makes the world small, huh?
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for being in Home Chef.
was a pleasure to
Wish you
be.
continued success, Marco.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. I really enjoy cooking and eating Asian food, and this is a real fun recipe. It's pork parcels with some Asian vegetables. The first thing I need to do is just to prepare the ginger, because I'm going to put the ginger in with the pork fillet, and I'm also going to put it in with the vegetables. So I'm using some root ginger. Peel this and cut this into really, really fine strips called julienne. And all I need is a small amount of ginger. I don't need too much of it. I have to say, I love the smell of it. So I'm just putting it into a wee dish here. And I suppose that's the beauty about pork. It takes on so many different flavours. What I'm going to do is make up the dressing for the sticky pork. Some honey. So this is the sweetness. Tomato ketchup. Some brown sugar, and this is some nice dark brown sugar. Dark soy sauce. And then some hoisin sauce, which is fantastic with duck. You know, if you get the aromatic duck and you wrap it in the pancakes with cucumber and a little bit of leek, it's fab. Sweet cherry. So just a little drizzle of this. So it gives a lovely sweetness and a richness to the dish. And then just mix this all together. So you could use this as a marinade for pork chops, for chicken breasts, and even turkey breast works really well. I have my little parcel here. So pork fillet, beautiful tender cut, low in fat. And this is a really lovely way of cooking it. So just with some parchment paper, trimmed off any excess fat. And what I'm going to do is just make up my little parcel. Drizzle over our sauce all over the pork. Look how dark that is, it's fab. Put in some root ginger, which we've cut into tiny little strips. And then, one of my favourites, some star anise. Just 1 star anise in each pork. And then all you do is wrap these up. Couldn't be easier. Gather it all together, twist it, just like a little parcel. And give it a really good twist. Now, if you want to be really, really, really particular, you can use a paper clip, or you can put a little cocktail stick in this. Onto a large baking sheet. So the oven is preheated at 160, and I'm going to give this 10 minutes, and then I'm going to make my vegetable parcels now. So the pork is in the oven. I'm going to prepare my vegetables. And this is some pak choi. So you can also use some pak choi, which is a greener in colour, more intense, same flavour. And you can also use tatsoi. These are all different oriental greens. And nowadays they can be grown in Ireland, which is fantastic. So feel free to experiment with lots of different vegetables, whether it's courgettes, mange tout, green beans, whatever's in season. What I'm going to do first of all is just prepare. Remove the end of this. Use one of the pak choi, a little bit of chilli. We're going to use some spring onion and some garlic. So this is the vegetables that we're serving. So just with the pak choi, cut this just into little chunks. Because again, this is going to be baked in the parchment paper. With the garlic, you can crush it. I'm just going to slice it really, really thinly. When you're cutting anything, always curve your fingers. So we're going to put in half a large clove of garlic in there, should be enough. And then some chilli. Just a small amount of chilli. And then with the spring onion, top and tail this. Cut this roughly the size of your small finger. Now, so bring everything over, and then we have a larger sheet of parchment paper, because obviously the vegetables are a little bit more chunkier. So just arrange your pak choi, your spring onion, and then what we're going to do is put the chilli, the garlic, so there's loads of different flavours in here. Don't forget about your ginger. So it's peeled, cut into little strips. Add a little bit of dark soy sauce, which I've used for the pork. Just a little drizzle of this. So it's nice and rich and dark. I'm going to use some oyster sauce, and this is wonderful in a stir fry with beef, chicken, even some prawns and vegetables. A little drizzle of that. And then I love this. I love sesame oil. I love sesame oil in a vinaigrette with some toasted sesame seeds and a little bit of rice wine vinegar. So a little drizzle of that. Wrap this up. Nice and tight. So I'm leaving the pork fillet in for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, I'm going to put the parcel of vegetables in, leave it for a further 10 minutes. So from start to finish, this dish will be ready in 20 minutes. So the pork has been in the oven for 20 minutes and the vegetables for 10 minutes. So we're ready to serve. I'm getting star anise, licorice, all those beautiful smells. So I'll just make a little bit of space. First of all, before I open this, we're going to serve this with some steamed rice. This is just some jasmine. You can use basmati, whatever. Nice big bowl of this. So the pork, first of all, and you can lift it, just be really careful. Open it out. So it's created a sauce. So you can see the pork there, the ginger, and then when you have that with the rice, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then our vegetables. Open these out too. And they've wilted down. So I think that's a very healthy and fun way of serving pork. That's my baked pork parcels with aromatic vegetables and steamed rice.
Look for the Board Bia quality mark, because it looks after you. Look for the Board Bia quality mark, because it looks after you.
Dubai is famous for its souks, or markets, which can be found on either side of the creek. I've come to pick up some spices for my lamb dish. We're at one of the souk shops here, which is famous for its spices, and it's incredible to see the array, the colour and the smells. So these are very interesting. These dried chilies here, you have the small ones here, which will be really, really, really fiery, lovely in stir fries and I suppose in flavoured oils. Then you have the ground and dried and crushed chilies. So this one is turmeric root, which is the fresh one. Usually you get it ground and dried and you're using it in a powder. Gives a lovely thing for saffron rice, colour and flavour. One of my favourites, star anise. I've never seen so much star anise in my life. Cinnamon, this is the small cinnamon which we're all used to. But watch this here. This is such a beast. I've never seen it that big in my life. So you probably break that up and you can infuse stock syrups, you know, use it a lot for desserts. You can grind it down, I'm sure, in spice grinders. I have two things here. This is some mace, and that's the outside of the mace there, and then the centre is the nutmeg. And that's something you don't see very, very often. And then saffron, the most expensive spice in the world. There are 3 different grades in the shop. They have what they call first class, business class, and economy. So they're all different grades. This would be a mixed saffron here, but this is the real deal. The smell of that is fantastic. Reminds me of a shaving brush. This is a really interesting one here. I've never seen this. And this is just a dried lemon. You have a dark one too, so it must be a totally different process. I've seen this in recipes, but I've never actually used it. So you can see all the different spices here, the dried herbs. Some of these I don't know. I'm like a child in a kid shop. This lamb dish has got a lovely Middle Eastern flavour to it, and it's a very, very simple dish, so it is. I'm using the rackle lamb here. This is beautiful Irish lamb. You go to your local butcher. So ask him to remove the chine bone, which is the bottom bone here. Trim off all the excess bones there and just ask him for the eye of the actual rackle lamb. So what I've done, trim off most of the fat of the membrane on the outside of the loin of lamb, which is also known as the rack. And then what I've done is I've marinated it in some olive oil. We have some cumin, so I've got some lovely local spices, you know, in the souk market. We have some coriander seed, a little bit of fresh rosemary and thyme. So I've been marinating that in the fridge overnight, so you're getting lots of flavour in there. So what I'm going to do with the lamb is I'm just going to sear it off. We have it marinated, bring it to room temperature, very, very important. Now, you'll hear the buzzing sometimes, and that is because it's an induction hob, which is really, really fast. Really hot pan, no need for oil because I have enough oil actually on the lamb, but we need to season it up. A little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. And then onto the good hot pan. That's what you want to hear. That lovely sizzle. Now we're going to season up the other side with some salt and some black pepper. So you only season up the meat when it goes onto the pan. Okay, with the induction, it's so fast, you got to be very careful because this will actually totally caramelize and burn on the outside if you cook it too fast. So we'll bring it up and we'll bring up the temperature and lower it every so often. So I want to get a little bit of butter in there, which is going to give lovely flavor and also color onto the actual meat. Before I do that, just simply move it around there. Look at that. How beautiful is that? That beautiful color, caramelization. Now it's still completely raw in the center. I want to get a little bit more cooking in that. Tiny little bit of butter. And the butter just gives so much flavour. Now with the coriander seed, it's a very interesting spice to use. What you can use is even a little bit of curry powder. I've used some cumin powder, also a cinnamon stick. Now I'm going to flip this over. So you can do this a few ways. You can pop it into the oven at about 180, and that'll take anything about maybe 10 to 12 minutes. I want to cook it nice and pink. So I've reduced the induction. It's slowly cooking. While that's on cooking, we can start the couscous. And couscous can be one of these insipid, bland ingredients, but you need to add flavour to it. I'm going to show you a really, really lovely, easy way of cooking it. So I'm using water, or you can use some chicken stock. Or you can use some vegetable stock if you want to make this for a vegetarian. Just going to bring this to the boil, so full heat. I'll put the zest of a lemon. So you can use orange, you can use lime, but I like lemon in it. It's lovely and fresh. That's the one thing about this couscous. You can eat it hot or cold, which is great. Okay, salt, good pinch of salt. So with the couscous, you can do a few things. You can toast it on a dry pan if you want, or in the oven. I'm just leaving it plain. I'm keeping it as simple and as quick as possible. You bring your water or stock to the boil, a little bit of lemon rind, salt, and then some oil. Using some olive oil, but you can use a little bit of lemon oil or citrus oil, which works really well with this. So into the couscous, I'm going to put these olives, which are fab. I got them in a local shop. Remove the stone, they're lovely and plump. So just simply cut them in half, and I'm going to leave them very rustic. You can chop them nice and small if you want to. You can put sun-dried tomatoes into couscous. You can even put the likes of goat's cheese. It's really, really versatile, or feta cheese that we'd eat a lot here. The water's come to the boil. I'm just literally going to pour this on over the couscous. And you literally let it sit for about maybe 5-6 minutes. Just give it a stir. Couldn't be easier. So I'm just going to leave the couscous over to the side. I have some already done. So I just made this up yesterday evening. So it's cold, we need to heat it up. And there's another couscous which they would use here. It's called Israel or pearl couscous, which is much bigger than this, and you boil it. You need to boil it, not pour on the water like I've done. So it's lovely and fluffy, but we're not finished with this. We're going to add lots of flavour into this. So keep going back and checking your lamb. It's got a lovely caramelisation, and you can see the coriander seed and the rosemary. It's sticking to the lamb, it's fab. Keep turning it over, and then you press into the centre. So that's cooking up nicely. That's probably about medium rare now. I want to cook it just a little bit further. So I've switched the lamb off and let it rest, really important, so the juices go back into the meat. Now we're just going to finish off the couscous. Kept a little bit of the water back with the lemon juice. I'm going to warm this up. So I'm going to heat the couscous in a moment. I'm going to chop some lovely herbs. A little bit of flat leaf parsley and mint, of course. Mint and lamb. The kind of match made in heaven. I suppose that's the beautiful thing about lamb. It can take on a lot of different spices. You could put garlic into that marinade, and if you marinate it overnight, that's the secret. So I'm going to chop some mint first of all, and I'm going to keep a little bit back because with the lamb, I'm going to stir this and serve it with some yogurt. Just a little bit of natural yogurt. So sprinkle that in here. That's kind of like a sauce. It's like a cooling dressing. It's at room temperature. I'm going to put a little squeeze of lemon juice, and I'm going to put lemon juice also into the couscous. Just a small little squeeze. So it's nice and refreshing. Stir that through. A little touch of salt and pepper. There we go, and that's ready. And I'm going to use some chives, but mint definitely is essential, and parsley. Whether it's the curly parsley or the flat leaf, it doesn't matter. Now I'm going to stir them through in the last minute. Just get your couscous. We need to warm this through. Doesn't take long. A little bit more oil. Just a wee drizzle. I need to put a squeeze of lemon juice into this. Using the other bit of the lemon. Now I need to add in the herbs. Bring them over on top of your pot. I'm going to get my olives, which I've removed the stones. Now the last thing I'm going to put into the couscous is some toasted flaked almonds. You can use the whole blanched ones and toast them off. I'm using the flaked almonds. You can use pistachio nuts, pecan nuts. They all work really well. Lovely texture, lovely colour. And stir that through. Now this couscous, I'm serving warm, but it's delicious cold, absolutely fab. And it'll keep for a couple of days in your fridge. Lovely as a starter, even as a light main course, it's fantastic. So we're ready to serve up. The lamb is nicely rested. The way I test the lamb is just press the centre of it, and if it's too soft, it's too rare. That feels medium to me, which is perfect, nice and pink. So with the couscous, we're just going to spoon it just into the plate. Lovely colour there from the black olives, the flaked almonds, so a nice big pile of that. Now what I'm going to do is get my yogurt, which we put in some mint, a little bit of salt and pepper and some lemon juice, just to the side. Just a little spoonful of that. This is a very, very simple dish. And I'll tell you, I thought cooking in the kitchen was hot. My God, out here, this is really hot. Put your lamb onto the side. So that's really easy and pretty quick, and lots of flavour from the Middle East. That's my marinated lamb with the black olive and herb couscous and the yogurt dressing. In the next programme, I'll visit Christ King Girls Secondary School in Cork. I hope you'll join me for some speedy recipes, including an instant strawberry ice cream sundae.
Only the Board B Equality mark ensures you know where your food comes from, because it's independently checked at every stage.